All right, finally, first podcast, boys. This is exciting.
It is.
Get it cracking.
First things first, we should name our podcast, right?
Yeah.
What
That's
should we
probably the
name
first
it? We gotta go. This is the fun part.
Yeah, I think it's an easy name here. I think we should call it the Sick Pod. Come on, man.
That is
I
pretty
like
dope.
that. Simple
like
to the
that.
point.
I was
like it.
thinking, get down with the sickness podcast.
Okay,
good, too.
that's not bad. It's not
Wasn't
bad
that
either.
Wasn't that disturbed? You have to watch some copyright and shit on that, my man.
Wait, sickness with a SIC, no K.
Mm.
Is that better?
I'm trying
You
to
good.
register that in my head right now. I think we're good though. I think that's
Or,
true.
Yeah.
or maybe just sickness podcast. We could think about that another time.
Yeah,
we got three. We got two top runners.
Yeah. Sick pod.
The Sick
Bro,
Pod, or
Post that shit as a poll on your story.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what
there you go.
that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. We'll post it on the Sick Fitness page, and we'll see what the fans want.
That'll be great. All right, so today's topic, we decided on consistency and why it's so important, maybe some science behind why it's important too. To start it off, I was going to just talk about my clients and what I see and why consistency is so important for me and as a coach. So really, like, why I think it's so important is because of the metabolic adaptation. So the metabolic adaptation, so for example, like if we have a certain amount of macros for 1 week and we're trying to gain weight on somebody, and then the client fucks up the macros for that following week, how are we going to know if it was the macros why they didn't gain any weight that week, or if it was just because they couldn't get all their meals in, or if they had like cheat meals, or if it's the other, you know what I mean? If they had like 100 more grams of carbs, how is it that we don't know if it was just that, or if it was because they're actually eating a lot more than they used to be?
Yeah, I feel like adherence and consistency go hand in hand. Like if you're not adherent to the protocol laid out, your consistency will all be called into question for sure. So 100% on that.
For as far as consistency goes, I like to dive into a little bit something different. You know, I know that Robbie touched a little bit on the science aspect of things, but for me, pretty simple and something that, you know, I try to live by, me, myself, and I try to inherit in all my clients is that I think all of us, you know, we go through good times, we go through bad times, you know, have good days, have bad days. And I see a lot of people, you know, make the mistake of not staying consistent based on, you know, their actual motivation, when it should just be no matter how you feel, especially when you're having the bad days, is when you got to stay consistent. And I think when we're talking about the science part of things, like when programs are unorganized and you're just going in there, you're just kind of just slapping on the weight, doing the same things that you always have been doing, that is being inconsistent with yourself, and the body's going to have a hard time adapting to what you're trying to do. So for me personally, that's something that I try to inherit in everybody that I work with. No matter if it's a good day, if it's a bad day, we got to do the daily things that we need to do to be successful inside and outside of the gym.
Yeah, you brought up stress levels too. Stress has huge parts of like adapting, right? So like if you're stressed out, the cortisone levels are high. What happens when cortisone levels are high? Obviously, our body protects us with some water, right? So in our pictures, we could look for the next week for our coaches, we could look like we had added some water, but it could be either fat or water weight from just being stressed. That's a huge part too. That was a good topic to touch on.
Does anybody know the amount of days that it takes to like actually form a habit? I kind of forget when that is.
It's usually, they changed it. They used to say like 28, but it's more so around like 66 now. They say consistent daily routine. It's like damn near almost 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that brings us to that 1% better each day, right? So
Yeah.
like making your bed, for instance. So 66 days of making your bed, it becomes a habit after that.
I think that's big, you know, on the staying consistent part. Like a lot of clients in general, me, even myself at times, you know, I've fallen behind, you know, the actual like cooking, you know, staying consistent with my cooking, staying consistent with being on top of that stuff. So I find myself being up later at night, trying to make sure that I'm ready to go for the next day, or make sure that I have everything cooked for the next morning, or XYZ. Staying consistent with your routine is going to allow you to be successful in the long run. You're not going to have to stay up later doing the things you shouldn't be doing, or whatever the case is, you know?
What we're doing is like a lot of things we could create with the routines with. So what you said was consistency with is having your routine, the stress levels. Another one would be sleep. If we have a good routine with sleep, that 8 hours a night, if our sleep, we're getting 10 hours one night, 6 hours the next, 10 the next day, and it's just all over the place. That would mess up some stuff too. So what I have is routine, stress levels, sleep, meals.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the sleep portion of that, like you were talking about cortisol earlier and stress response. So, like response that happens in the body, it's called cortisol awakening response. And I don't want to go too much into science. I want to stay on consistency. But in the morning, you need cortisol because if we didn't have alarm clocks and we were still living out in the wild, when your optical nerves pick up sunlight, even when your eyes are closed, your body starts dumping cortisol into your body. And men naturally have that higher response than women. That's why, generally speaking, men kind of pop out of bed most days if your testosterone levels are normal and stuff, and women can sleep in usually a little bit longer. Not always the case, but usually is. The trend is throughout the day, if you're managing stress, cortisol is going to go down. Okay. And then at night, when your optical nerves aren't picking up light all the time, melatonin, sleep hormone, starts to be released. Right. But if you're staying up on your fucking phone and that blue light, TV, that disrupts that melatonin release and it spikes your cortisol again, which disrupts that sleep. So it's like a vicious cycle. If you do not kind of get a good like sleep hygiene regimen in place, you're disrupting your melatonin release, which then makes you tired. So the next day, you overly stimulate with caffeine, which has another adrenaline response that has that cortisol going even pulsating more than it should. And it can cascade into your night again. So you got to like think about it like that. You need cortisol, but if you're overly stimulating it, yes, you're going to be holding water because the adrenals are on top of your kidneys, filtrating everything out. But if you're not getting that sleep hygiene in check and cortisol is pulsating more than it should, it's just going to wreak havoc not only on your day-to-day life, but more on like a deeper level, your hormone panel is going to start to show that effect too.
That science was exactly what I wanted to. So
Yeah, that was
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, you
I
laid
nerd
that
out.
perfectly.
I nerd out on that shit, man. So I'm here all day for that.
Yeah, and it all makes sense too. That's why like the phone is such a shitty part of like, and it fucks up the routine so bad.
Of our job too.
Just holding that phone.
Because
Yeah,
you always
and our
trying to
job.
work, man.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's why, and I'm on the phone a lot because of our job. And then what I learned is to set up timers, like so you could have that do not disturb on during certain parts of the day. And my favorite now is that the timer when you could just it's called wind down time. My wind down time starts at 9:30, so it doesn't let me on my phone. And
I
then
like that. I like that.
yeah, but I catch myself a lot.
No, that
Checking
was
out.
that was actually perfect, Caleb, the way you broke that down, man, for sure.
Especially with the melatonin.
Yeah, I think that, it's very important to, stepping aside from the specific science of things, but when you first wake up in the morning and you don't check your phone right away, because I know that a lot of people do that. First thing they do is check their phone. I think it's very important to build a regime where in the morning, the first thing you do is like Rob said earlier, you make your bed, you do something to get those small wins so you can keep adding up throughout the morning to create some momentum to carry on the day. If you start the day by just going on your phone, checking what you missed, texting the people back, it's going to be counterproductive to the morning. You're going to fall behind. Now you got less time to do whatever you were supposed to do in the morning. So I think it's really important to like maybe meditate in the morning, journal in the morning. Do not check your phone when you first wake up, do something productive. I think that's a big thing for key trait to staying consistent, to be like successful as one of our athletes.
Yeah, bro, we could do a whole episode over sleep alone, bro, because there's so much science that goes into it.
Yeah,
so
it's
much.
so true. Yeah, just when we wake up in the morning, when especially we're on a shred, it's easy to just get up and go do your fasted cardio. Fasted cardio, what's that do? It releases our endorphins. After my fasted cardio every morning, I go and I take a cold shower because now I got my endorphins running, and then I wake my ass up with a cold shower, and then it makes it a lot better. Especially you guys know if you sleep in to that like that mark where you have like 30 minutes before work or when you're rushing to work, the day that you wake up early, you have such a better day than the day that you wake up late, right? All right, so we got a bunch of stuff for consistency. We got routine, stress levels, sleep, meals, workouts, and day-to-day life. Can you guys think of anything else for consistency when it comes to whether you're just trying to burn fat, gain muscle, whatever it is?
Yeah, so this is like a practice that I learned from one of my mentors. I can't remember who, so I'm just trying not to like act like I made this shit up. It's called temptation bundling. It's kind of like habit stacking, but basically, like if you have a habit that you want to work on, right, and it's connected to something like a good outcome, but you just hate fucking doing it. The example I always use is cardio. Most people despise cardio. I don't care what their goal is; they just don't want to fucking do it because it's boring. So like an example of this would be linking an action you want to do to something you need to do. So if you want to lose fat, improve your health markers, you probably need to do cardio for a multitude of reasons. So like what I do is I only allow myself to watch my favorite anime when I do cardio. So I'm taking something I really enjoy and I'm only allowing myself to enjoy it when I'm doing something I need to do that's going to benefit my long-term health and my goals. So it's kind of linking those two actions together, and eventually you're going to start to look forward to it, even though you don't like cardio, but because you know the benefit of the action you're getting out of it.
That's great. What's this called again?
Temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you won't watch that favorite anime until you have to do the cardio.
Yeah, like Demon Slayer just came out and I'm behind because I've been slacking on cardio.
Yep. No, I actually just had one of our clients tell me, because I posted a picture of Aku, and he asked me if I watch anime, and I was like, yeah, of course, that's how I got his name. And he tried to put me on to Demon Slayer. I told him I'd have to tune in because I haven't yet. So
yeah, it's good. It's good. But it can be anything.
I don't even know what anime is. I don't even know what it is.
We're gonna put you on, Robbie. We're gonna put you on. Don't worry, man. You just haven't given it a shot yet.
Yeah.
Maybe. And maybe I'll start doing it with my cardio, because honestly, I don't mind cardio.
Yeah, me either.
I think it like clears my head. Like I just, for some reason, I think of something and then I daydream while I'm doing it. Is that weird?
Yeah, it's kind of like runner's high. Like after you hit the point of like, I don't want to do this, you just start to get like that enjoyment and like start to feel energized from it.
Yeah. So I don't mind it anymore. But today was my day off and I definitely slept in, and that's probably why I have another coffee at 6 tonight.
Yeah, probably.
All right, yeah. So what about with our clients? For example, what I notice the most is when a client is lying to me, when they're saying they didn't have any cheat meals that week, especially when right after we depleted down for so much and we add a little bit of food back. And if they gain like 10 pounds because obviously their insulin sensitivity is so high, so they depleted for so long, so obviously they're ready to have that, like they're ready to cheat, and then they gain like 10 pounds, which sounds like it would be good. But that's the biggest thing I noticed with my clients, especially when it comes to consistency. Like, for example, like if they went out and drank and stuff, you could see in their photos that they definitely look a little depleted from all the alcohol.
Biggest thing I noticed with my clients, and shout out Desmond for this, actually, like he's just an example, but as far as clients in general, like when they first sign up for the program, right, it's perfectly fine for them to think, okay, I missed a workout, or I missed my cardio for the day, or I missed my ab circuit that I needed to complete, or I missed my morning walk that I needed to do. I missed a meal. That's okay. But then once they get on the program, once they start building the habits of doing these things, they turn that corner and they almost feel guilty when they're missing, a workout or one of the things that they know they need to be complete, so we can be successful in whatever the goal is at the time. So that's something that I really noticed. And I have to shout out Desmond, because as soon as he got back from his vacation, he told me how terrible he felt because he wasn't able to keep his regime up where he was at. So as soon as he got back, he didn't even take a day to relax or anything. The next day, he was right back in the gym, texting me, calling me, sending me photos like, I'm back in here. I'm ready to go. I feel good. So that's something that I've noticed with my clients.
Good shit, Desmond. Good shit.
Good shit.
I mean, that's when you know you're in like the bodybuilding life, is that when you have like one night out or something, when you do something and then you feel bad about missing meals, that's when you know you're definitely in it. So good for him.
Yeah, he's come a long way too. He has come a long way, so I'm really proud of him.
He's going to keep killing it.
Yep.
Just with like you said, just kind of turning off that with like, you can tell when your clients are like underreporting or not like lying, but just withholding truth. And the thing here is like, it's only hurting them. The more you withhold from your coach, the more you're inadvertently pausing your progress or just slowing it down.
Yeah.
You got to share.
They think we're going to get mad.
Yeah. It's not like the disappointment thing. It's like, yeah, I have a set of goals for you. I'd love for you to adhere to them. But realistically, there's not many people that are just going to change a habit overnight. And I like really want to push people to be their absolute best. But I obviously am understanding that people are fucking human. And sometimes they want to go out and have a beer, have a burger. Like if you're a bodybuilder, that's not even in the it's not even the plan. So don't even try it. But like having like a good balance of like grit and grace. Like most of the time, yeah, you need to grit down. You need to do the work. You need to put in the time. Otherwise, you ain't going to get where you want to be. But you do need to allow yourself like a little bit of grace. And when you enjoy that grace, you still need to report that to your coach. Otherwise, they're going to not take that into account, that maybe you went out and had an extra 1,500 calories. Then they're going to think, oh, we need to decrease things further, which could cause further downregulation of metabolic activity. And then it could just mess everything up. So just be upfront and honest. You're not going to be perfect. We accept you for who the fuck you are, but we are going to push you to get your shit together.
Exactly, especially when it comes to calories in versus calories out. If you're trying to shred, right?
Yep.
And then where I get like lifestyle clients, it's gonna happen. You're not getting ready for a show or anything like that, where it's obviously more important. Yeah, but just like you said, if you went out and had a couple beers and you have 1,500 more calories, and we have a total of how many calories that we're taking in a week versus how many calories you should be burning, obviously that's gonna mess everything up.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. All right, so as for the consistency notes, we have routine, stress level, sleep, meals, workouts, day-to-day life. Is there anything else we could touch up on this topic? We definitely hit some scientific points, so thank you, Caleb, for that. That was really good.
That was dope, man. I like that a lot. But no, I think we all have a little bit of different style to throw into it, like, you know, for our answers. And I actually really like that, you know, I did. So I think that was pretty solid. You know, I was expecting just consistency to be, you know, pretty short and sweet, but I thought we came up with some good topics, some scientific answers, some motivational answers, threw some clients in there, you know, related it back to us and, you know, how we've gotten to where we're at. So shit, man, I thought that was pretty motivating.
First podcast, not bad. Yeah, so next week we'll come up with something together about next week. We'll do this every Wednesday.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.